Hi, welcome to Thursday. I am back in my office today, ready to help you, ready to talk to you. Now, I was just actually interviewed from a woman who's writing an article actually about negative reviews and things like that. So I thought that I would talk with you about that because I came up with some points that I thought were kind of good, actually. So we all know that there are haters. We all know that there's trolls. We all know that people have pretty much the ability, particularly with the way that the online world works, that anybody can leave a negative review. Anybody can leave negative feedback. Anybody can, basically troll you. So what do we do about it? The way that I see it, there are 4 things that you can do. Number 1 is you can just ignore it. Now, ignoring it can have there can be a consequence of ignoring this type of stuff. So one of the consequences are people think that you're fine, that you don't care and whatever else, and that's totally cool. The thing is that whether or not you want the negative reviewer or the hater or that person thinking that you don't care, right? So, it might be sometimes, particularly if it's like a piece of negative feedback that may be, on something or another. If they've gone and shared this with you and you're like, yeah, nah, I'm not even going to respond to that, then they might actually be somebody who is wanting to spend more money with you. You don't know what's going on in their world. So ignoring it can have that impact. Ignoring it, though, can have another impact, and I've seen this happen a lot, where you might not go and publicly reply to somebody, so you might ignore it, but you can have, what sometimes happen is that people in your community will go, oh my God, that is ridiculous. I'm going to go into bat for this person. So even though you might ignore it, it doesn't mean that the people around you will also ignore it, okay? So it can actually have this really cool tribe effect. I remember telling some, I came up with this terminology in, I think 2013, 2012 maybe even, when at that point in 2012, I was posting a lot, I was doing a lot of advertising, and back then people didn't understand what was going on in the news feed, and they're like, why are you writing on my wall? I literally were having, I was getting death threats. There was people coming to threaten and come and break into my house. I was threatening my family because I was posting on social media, because I was sending out emails to email addresses that they'd given me permission to email to, right? So back then, as little as, 2012? So as little as seven or 8 years ago, people didn't understand that, I'm not going into each of your accounts and putting stuff up on your wall, right? It goes up on mine and it just happens to get shown in your newsfeed. So it's really kind of interesting. So those ones I just ignored, you just delete. They're just silly and a waste of time. But the other people, I guess, like what I was talking about with some clients of mine, saying, if you have somebody come and say something horrible about you on social media, then let us know, me being the mentor, but also the community that we were in, let us know so that we can instigate the tribe effect. Now, the tribe effect is where we basically all go, oh, hell no, the people who know and love you the most and love you best and know your heart, know your integrity, know what you're all about, we all come in and rally around you on your behalf. So it's really funny, if one of you had something happen, you're like, oh my gosh, this just happened the other day, and if I knew you and if I knew what you're about, I'd be like, great, share the link with me. I'll go and post about it. I'll go and comment. You don't even need to comment on there, right? And so you can kind of let the community deal with the haters, the negative reviews, the feedback, or whatever it is that's come back. So that's one. There's 2 things of doing it. So one is to ignore it. The second thing that I would actually suggest that you do is screenshot what's going on and address it. So another really great thing that you can do is if somebody says to you, oh my gosh, I don't agree with what you've said there, and they might go, bang, 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 bang. Or if you've done something and you know that you've been in the right, then take screenshots of the interaction and then go and provide some commentary. Because what these negative reviewers, negative feedback people, what they, particularly if they've done it publicly and openly, the thing that can happen is that they don't expect you to respond, right? And so they assume that we don't want this made public. They assume that we don't want everybody to know. And so it's almost like they're blackmailing you into either, like often, blackmailing you into either succumbing to their demands or blackmailing you or trying to influence and manipulate you into doing something that you don't want to do or getting really defensive. So take screenshots of it. Go and post it up and say, hey, this is what somebody has said. This is actually, this is my standpoint on this. And then I wouldn't engage any further with that. So I had this happen with a guy recently who had a crack at me about my writing, about the length of some of my posts. And he was quiet. It was like a bit of it was really interesting anyway. Like the banter went on a little bit and then he started to get very attacky. And I'm just like, I don't need to buy into this. But what I did is I took screenshots of everything and then I shared it as a separate post with those photos in there, explaining how I dealt with it, explaining why why it was just total bullshit actually in this particular instance. So, it's I guess like the reason that we would do this is you can go in and say, hey, not in a defensive reaction, not in an aggressive and an angry reaction to something, but you're very much within your rights to say, hey, this is what happened. And either this is why it's wrong, like this is why this is completely unfair, why it's unfounded, why it's just simply not true. Or you can go out there and say, actually, you know what? This actually really is true. And I really deserve that feedback and I deserve that interaction. And, this is where I made an error and I'm really willing to try and fix that up. Now, if you think about it, these businesses, these organizations, right? We are human, right? We are driven by humans. We are not a logo. We are not a particular product, although we might be selling that. Behind everything is a human. And so if you're able to really show up from a place of vulnerability and say, hey, you guys, I'm pretty embarrassed about this. I'm a little bit mortified. I did receive some negative feedback on my website the other day about this particular thing. And you know what? It was actually warranted. And, whilst I don't like it, it was probably true. There was some elements in there that were true. And then you can start talking into that. Now, you might lose some clients, although I very much doubt it. If you're coming from a place of vulnerability, if you're coming from a place of courageously sharing your humanity, then that goes a long way. I know for me, when I've shared different things that I thought would make people run for the hills, I get messages from people, I get emails from people saying, oh my gosh, I had no idea, I love you even more, I can't wait to work with you, and then they do. It seems to be like we can't use it as a tactic, right, for marketing and for sales, because that becomes manipulation. But certainly, like if you've had negative stuff go on, bring it out into the open, because they assume that you're going to be so filled with shame that you won't want it to be aired. So go ahead and share it out there. So we can ignore it. We can address the truth of it. We can address the untruth of it. And then the other thing that I think we can do is to use some humor, right? So you can have people, get snarky with you, be negative. And if you're happy to go back and be kind of like use lighthearted banter, and that tone of being in terms of how you address that can go a long way. You guys have probably seen the Campbell's soup ad where it talks about families in there, and I think somebody had a go at either not depicting a homosexual couple, or it was depicting a homosexual couple, or it was like a fur baby family or something. I can't remember the exact specifics, but the way that the Campbell's Soup organization actually, or the social media people probably, how they re-engaged with that comment was freaking brilliant. It showed that they were willing to stand by their message, that they were not going to stand for douchery, that they were, that they were just like, this is how it is, you guys. And, if you don't like it, go buy someone else's soup, So, they're the main things. I think the thing that we want to do though is always remember to not take it personally. Okay, because each person's experience of you, each person's experience of your service, your product, whatever, is different. Now, it's different if you're doing something immoral, obviously, or if, you're selling something that doesn't work, or you're selling a faulty ass product, then, you deserve all the fucking negative reviews that you get. But, you're in my community, so that's not even a thing. But we don't know what's going on that other person's side. So I think if we can assume that they're just going through some stuff, and you were the softest target, and just don't take it personally. I know it can feel like a personal attack, particularly, a lot of people I work with, you are your business, whether you're a therapist or a coach or a mentor or something like that, consultant. A lot of us, we are our businesses. So it can be, it's a natural and appropriate response to assume that it's probably about us and that it's about us personally, but we can't take it personally. All right, so the thing that you want to have a look at is remember that one piece of negative feedback, one negative review in a sea of all of the amazing things that you've heard, that you've learned, of the people that you've helped, you've got all of this evidence of all of your, all of your amazing stuff. Don't let that one little kernel impact the whole, the rest of everything that you're doing. Don't let it undermine your confidence. All right. So there you go. That is today. Really awesome to host you. Hope you have a really amazing and a fantastic Thursday. I've got a 2-day event that I'm running here tomorrow, which I'm fantastically excited about. Then we go to Melbourne on Sunday and Monday, and then Sydney Tuesday, Wednesday, then Gold Coast Thursday, Friday, then off to Perth on Sunday, Monday, and then back here following on from that. So it's going to be a big week and a half, and I'm so excited to get in the room for the national tour. If you're not a part of that yet, you can be at www.nicolamoras.com.au/rockstar, because why the heck not? And also, if you're not quite sure whether that's something that you might want to be in the room for, or if you're not quite sure about me, I am running a webinar in about 45 minutes. Just send me a message and I can send you the link for that. All right, everybody, have a really great and amazing day. Get out there, go help some people, have a whole bunch of fun doing it, and remember that the world is ready for your brand of awesomeness. I'll talk to you tomorrow.